Welcome to the Authentic Leader Show podcast. Today's podcast is called What New Leaders in Tech Need Now. It's an episode about preparing your star performers for a leadership role. Welcome to the Authentic Leader Show. The Authentic Leader Show is the podcast about technology leaders who are crushing the bell curve of team performance and leading high-performing technology teams. Now, if you are a senior leader who is struggling with leading teams of technology managers or leaders, you're probably doing one of these three things. The first one is that you are considering rewarding your star performer with increasing their leadership responsibilities and promoting them to a team leading role. Or you are frustrated that someone who you recently promoted to a technology leader role, they're now struggling in that role. And you're trying to figure out how and why, right? They were a star performer, now they are really struggling in this role, and it doesn't really make much sense. Or you are now just feeling the pain of firing a technical leader, or maybe they recently quit because they were just simply unable to succeed in that role. And as a result, you're feeling uncertain if your star performer who you want to promote, if they'll even succeed in this new leadership role that you've got for them. Or you are confused how a team member who was a star performer is now a low performer as the leader of their technology team. Or you are retrospectively trying to understand why the technology leader who recently left, they couldn't succeed in their role. Now, if you have experienced any one of these three situations, let's say in maybe the past 6 months, then you probably haven't given your new technology leader what they need right now. And that's what we're talking about here today. So just so you know, inside of the Authentic Leader Framework, I have a coaching curriculum that includes exercises, tools, and systems to create authentic leaders of high-performing technology teams. And when you apply these simple principles and tools, technology leaders like you experience the authentic success that you and your team deserves. Now, of course, we don't have time to go into and share the entire curriculum today. So I am going to share with you one way that you can practically fail-proof your star performer for a future leadership role. Now, here are some of the mistakes that many senior leaders make when they're promoting their star performer. First is that the promotion happens at a time of need. There's an emergency. We've got to get this role filled right now. Or there is a recent vacancy that needs to be filled quickly. Or maybe the business is growing at a rapid pace and you realize now that you need to create and fill a manager/leadership role as soon as possible. Now, in either of these cases, there is so much important work on the team that the senior leader simply needs to fill this role quickly. I mean, that's the reality of what's happening, especially in fast-growing technology organizations. Now, the problem with filling the role quickly is that you are making a reactive decision rather than a strategic decision. And if you've been in your role for any amount of time, typically reactive decisions don't go as well as those that are planned out and that are more strategic. Now, I help leaders with promoting their star performers inside of the coaching curriculum in the Authentic Leader Framework, including some proactive work that I'll share with you today you can do now and prepare to promote your star performer later. I was recently working with a small business owner who provides technology solutions for other small businesses who aren't really big enough to have an IT department. And they have been experiencing tremendous growth during the pandemic, as a lot of IT businesses have. Yes, I mean, technology certainly has helped us to get through this pandemic, and thank goodness for that. As demand for their services grew, and as a result of their team continuing to grow, what we started figuring out is that there's really a need to fill a leadership position. Now, at first, we talked about how he had already decided that his star performer should get this role. And after all, I mean, really, the star performer, they have earned this by being a long-time team member. They have been consistently producing exceptional results over a long period of time, and the team respected this star performer. But also, a few years ago, working with this leader, This same business owner promoted a star performer for the very same reason. The star performer, they ultimately failed as a leader and they later quit. Now, we'll talk about that situation in a future episode that I'm planning. Today, we're talking about preparing your star performer for the success in a future leadership role. So what we did is we outlined what the business needed in this new role that he was considering. And we talked about the key functions and the results that this new role needed to produce. And then I asked him, well, how will the star performer do in each of these functions inside of this role? And of course, at first he said, this star performer, they're going to do great, right? Why would he say anything else? Because of the past. But then I asked, well, how do you know? And through some additional conversation, he later admitted that, he really doesn't know. So I suggested that we just prove it. Let's prove it first. Before promoting, why don't we delegate some of the key functions to this star performer? This gave the star performer an opportunity to demonstrate their skills. Now, I'll tell you that they didn't have all the skills necessary to succeed in all of the leadership role functions, but this is how we found out how they will handle new skills and responsibilities. Maybe more importantly, we also were able to see how this person will go from learning new skills that they had and how they will fill the gaps that they've identified. So we all learned, and ultimately we set the star performer up for success for a new leadership role. This also helped the business owner to avoid another mistake that senior leaders make with newly promoted leaders. Now, many senior leaders will promote their star performer to a leadership role and they'll leave them to their own devices. Again, because of the past success, why would they think anything else? But this is a way to keep their expectations in check, and they walked with the star performer as they grew and learned these new functions. And they set the star performer up for success. Now, if you were growing your organization and considering adding a new management/leadership role, or if you anticipate filling a management leadership role vacancy in the future, I want to set you and your star performer up for success for both. If you can relate to anything that I've shared here today, let's schedule a short strategy call where we can discuss what your current strategy is, whether you have one or not, or whether you know you have one or not. We'll also talk about what's working for you now and where you might need some help. And I'll additionally give you some actionable ideas to help you get started. Let's schedule your strategy call today. You can go to ChristopherRJones.com, and right there you can click on a button that says Free Strategy Call. Now, in the coming weeks, I will have a special announcement about a unique service that I am offering. If you'd like to be one of the first to know and join the waitlist, you can go to AuthenticSuccessOnline.com/interest. You can follow us on Facebook by going to Authentic Leader Now. I'd also love to connect with you on LinkedIn. So please send me an invitation on LinkedIn. You can find me at I am Christopher Jones. You can find more information and get other free resources at ChristopherRJones.com. Hey, I want to thank you for joining us today. Please come back next week for another podcast episode.